Okay, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a journey way back into deep time to look at the single most dramatic turning point in Earth's history. We're talking about a story that has absolutely everything: catastrophic global pollution, a massive extinction event, and ultimately, the wild biological revolution that made, well, us possible. It's a huge, sweeping narrative, and it all revolves around just one specific gas.
So here's the massive paradox we're starting with. In this ancient world, the gas that currently fills your lungs, the exact invisible stuff keeping you alive right this very second, it was a deadly poison. And to wrap our heads around how that could possibly be true, we really have to strip away absolutely everything we know about our planet today.
Close your eyes for a second and just picture this contrast. For the first 2 billion years of life's journey, Earth was a totally alien landscape. Seriously, if you were standing on a barren, rocky shore back then, you'd look up at a hazy, bruised orange sky made of thick methane mist. The air would just reek of volcanic gases. No scent of pine trees or fresh rain, just sulfur. And the oceans? No vibrant blue water anywhere. The seas were a dark, murky green, completely saturated with dissolved iron. No birds, no leaves rustling, just the rhythmic, primeval lap of waves against sterile rock.
In those weird bruised orange days, the only life that existed was microscopic, hiding out in those sun-drenched oxygen-free waters. We were talking about anaerobic microbes, single-celled bacteria and archaea, and their biology was perfectly adapted to this alien environment. Instead of breathing oxygen, they extracted energy from stuff like methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Some actually thrived on the rotten egg smell of hydrogen sulfide, while others basically ate iron or sulfur fueled by the Earth's internal heat. For over 1 billion years, this was just the normal, quiet rhythm of our planet. Just slow-moving microbial mats living in this delicate balance that honestly seemed like it would last forever.
Section 1. Rise of the Sun Thieves, the biological miracle that shattered a world.
So, roughly 3 billion years ago, this tiny group of organisms called cyanobacteria showed up and changed literally everything. They developed a biological miracle, a totally new way to get energy that blew the old methods out of the water. First, they figured out how to harness the sun's energy. Then, they acted like microscopic architects, using that solar power to physically split water molecules apart. Step 3, they stole the hydrogen from that water to fuel their own internal engines. And finally, step 4, they just released the leftover oxygen as waste. Completely by accident, these little sun thieves became Earth's very first polluters. They were pumping out this highly reactive, wildly dangerous waste gas into an ecosystem that had never, ever dealt with it before.
Section 2. The ocean turns to rust, a slow-motion rain of iron.
Now, you might be wondering, if they were churning out all this oxygen, why didn't the atmosphere immediately fill up with it? Well, initially, this toxic oxygen didn't reach the sky at all. It immediately reacted with all that dissolved iron floating around in those murky green seas. Basically, when the oxygen hit the iron in the water, it rusted. Picture a slow-motion rain of rust settling layer by layer onto the ancient ocean floor. This created what geologists call banded iron formations, these incredibly striking red and black stripes of stone. And what's absolutely wild about this is the direct connection to your life right now. Those exact formations are what we mine today to build our modern steel cities. The skyscrapers, the bridges, the framework of your entire city, they are quite literally built out of the rust left behind by bacterial waste billions of years ago. Crazy, right?
And to truly grasp the sheer scale of this, just look at the timeline. The cyanobacteria didn't rust the oceans overnight. The oceans acted like a colossal sponge, soaking up this toxic oxygen for hundreds of millions of years. It was this painfully slow, eons-long cycle of rusting and settling, until finally, around 2.4 billion years ago, the iron simply ran out.
Section 3. The Great Oxygenation, the Poisoned Sky. Around 2.4 billion years ago, that ocean sponge was completely full. The water couldn't hold another drop of oxygen, meaning this highly reactive gas had nowhere to go but up, spilling out into the atmosphere. And for the anaerobic life that had peacefully ruled Earth for 1 billion years, this was an unimaginable catastrophe. Oxygen wasn't a breath of fresh air for them. It was a violent, destructive force. It literally tore through their delicate structures, wrecking the very chemistry of their cells. This wasn't just a minor climate shift. This was Earth's first mass extinction, a global poisoning event. Countless species were completely wiped off the map, and the few that survived had to flee, burying themselves deep in the oxygen-depleted mud of the ocean floor, where, believe it or not, their descendants are still hiding today.
And as if a global poisoning wasn't bad enough, the planet's climate went completely off the rails. As oxygen flooded the sky, it reacted violently with that thick methane blanket that had been keeping the Earth warm. The methane was destroyed, and the temperature just fell off a cliff. This triggered a snowball Earth event. Imagine a frozen wasteland where the glaciers didn't just hover around the poles, but pushed all the way down to the equator. The entire planet turned into a giant reflective ice ball, locked in a horrific deep freeze that dragged on for millions of years.
But as that ice eventually painstakingly melted away, the world that emerged was visually unrecognizable. We call this the blue transformation. That hazy, bruised orange sky, permanently gone. In its place, the newly mixed atmosphere of oxygen and nitrogen started scattering sunlight in a whole new way, giving us that deep, resonant blue sky we're so familiar with. Plus, higher up, that oxygen formed the ozone layer, a crucial protective shield that would eventually make it safe for life to crawl out of the oceans and actually live on land. Section 4. The ultimate fuel for complexity, a legacy built on ruins.
So how exactly did a gas that caused a mass extinction and a global ice age become the very engine for modern life? Well, it all comes down to a staggering multiplier, 16 times. While oxygen was totally toxic to the old anaerobic life, it eventually allowed for a completely new process called aerobic respiration. And aerobic respiration is an absolute game changer. It is 16 times more efficient at producing energy than the ancient methods. That is a massive, unprecedented energy surge. It finally gave cells the power they needed to grow larger, to build complex nuclei, and eventually to combine and form the complex animals and plants that dominate our world today.
Which brings us to this really profound realization. We live now inside a biological construction maintained by the descendants of those original cyanobacteria. Every single breath you take is a direct gift from that ancient catastrophic revolution. Our entire existence, this whole vibrant blue planet we call home, is essentially a planet-wide life support system built, quite literally, on the ruins of a world that nearly died.
I'm going to leave you with one final thought to ponder right now, just as you're sitting there breathing in the air around you. Out there right this second, the descendants of those very first polluters, the trees outside your window, the microscopic plankton out in the sea, they are still doing that exact same quiet, steady work. They're still splitting water, and they're still releasing that ancient, precious poison into the sky, keeping our sky blue and keeping the fire of life burning within you. Think about that the next time you take a deep breath.